Are we there? Can you hear me?
I'm here. I hear you.
Okay. Hey, Ron, it's good to see you. Cate Steel. We've met a couple of times
Yes.
now, and it's good to see you again. Looks like you're surviving COVID-19 and
Doing
in.
more than just I'm doing more than just surviving. I'm thriving.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, well, good. I want to hear all about that. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about land trust and your business experience and how you're doing during COVID-19, because I think if you're thriving, if you're doing well, I think that's a lesson for all of us. So congratulations with that.
On my business background, formal education. I'm an engineer, several degrees in engineering. And back in the late 80s, I became an entrepreneur and started my own businesses, about four of them. I also did expert witness work, a lot of consulting work for FDA products. Um, and then got retired, sold my businesses, retired, and got bored and looking for something to do. I joined the Red Cross. That was a very good experience. And then I was invited to join the Land Trust, and I became eventually the president of the East Lyme Land Trust.
Well, congratulations for being president and for doing that and for having such a wide and varied career. Tell me what a land trust is. I think I know what it is, but maybe if somebody was listening, they would like better clarification on that. So what is the land trust?
The Land Trust is an independent corporation. It does not any connection specifically to any government. They are just an independent corporation. And in the state of Connecticut, there are 103 land trusts.
In the whole entire state. And how do we fare as far as East Lyme and Salem?
With regards to size,
Yeah, well, how many land trusts do we have in this area?
oh no, okay. Salem is one land trust. East Lyme is
Okay,
one land trust.
okay, got it.
And Bologna Conservatory is a series of is one of the very large land trusts that covers a lot of territory, a lot of different towns.
Okay,
Waterford, Connecticut has their own land trust. So, so
okay.
it's mostly by county or by city.
So how much of our land in East Lyme is a land trust or is part of this land trust?
As of last year ago, we had 480 acres. Now we have 980 acres.
Oh, wow, that's quite a
Like I said, we've been thriving.
thriving. Well, congratulations. And how many acres is the East Lyme in and of itself?
I don't know.
Okay. And then we have some water, so the inland wetland, that would not be part of the land trust at all, or is it?
Not necessarily. We tend to, the properties that we have do not have any lakes on them.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and our mission has been to acquire property to preserve what we think is the most precious asset of East Lyme, to preserve our drinking water.
That's right. Drinking water is such a priority. And if we don't have drinking water, then we can't live. So important.
So our focus has been acquiring property that are forests, and therefore when it rains, they absorb the water down into the aquifer, into our drinking water system.
Okay. How far deep do we need to dig for most aquifers in this area?
Depends on where you live.
Okay.
we
So it's
have
quite
maps,
varied in East Lyme.
we have maps from the state, because an aquifer is loosely defined as to any mechanism for gathering water,
Okay.
controlling the flow of water underground.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, in some places I know it's quite shallow. In other places it's quite deep, but so it just really depends.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you got into this business and you have a strong business background and a strong engineering background, and all of this brought you and led you into this. And why is it so important? Why is land trust something that you are so passionate about and wanting to acquire more land?
Well, personally, it was a personal challenge. You know, from my business doing nothing and not having that personal challenge. Then once I got into it, it was a new world, because like any specialty or any industry, they have their own language.
Okay.
So now you learn the new language, the terminology, the do's and don'ts, and the mechanisms for doing things. So that was a challenge which I uh, enjoyed. And now we're at the point where we are extremely functional and very successful in what we are doing.
Good. And how big is your team? You're the president. Is it
We have
like
a board of directors of 6 people.
Oh, so it's a little small. And then
Yes.
you have a team of volunteers who work for the land trust
At
as
the
well.
point we have members, we have approximately 95 members, registered members, but we have not been using any work teams for several reasons. One of which is that there's only one piece of property that we have trails on, but we now have acquired another large piece of property that has many trails on it, and we're going to be starting our stewardship program.
Okay, you broke up there for a second, Ron. I think you were saying something really important. Is that on the Goodwin Trail? What trail are you talking
No,
about?
Goodwin Trails is separate from the East Lyme Land Trust.
Okay.
The Goodwin Trail was developed, one of the major developers of it was Art Carlson, who's very active in reservation of land in East Lyme.
Okay, I know Art. So where is your or the land trust that you're referring to?
Well, we just obtained one up near the, if you look at a map, the right-hand or up Walnut Street, Walnut Hill area. Okay. And that was a 300-acre piece of land that went into ledger. We've just acquired another piece, Upper Pagcansett. And as of last week, we just made filing with the DEP for a 400-acre tract of land that is part of Pagcansett Lake, which has waterfront property at Pagcansett Lake.
Oh, nice. Very nice. I bike around Lake Pagcansett pretty much every day. So it's a beautiful spot, and I'm glad you're acquiring land around that. So what are the benefits? Tell me some of the benefits of the work that you're doing by acquiring more area, more acres of land trust. Why is that important?
Well, there's several factors, one of which is our main interest is to protect the water supply. These are the sources for our water. Second is that we now are going to start providing more recreational opportunities for people with specific types of trails. An example of this latest Upper Pagcansett has a nice rock ledge for people who are amateur rock climbers.
Nice.
That attract us, but they are also part of the aquifer system. Mm-hmm. Another major benefit is value of land. East Lyme is very attractive to bring people in, and they have found that being next to a conserved land increases their property value approximately 8%.
Well, that's a good investment then, if it's an 8% increase in property value, and you don't have people going to school as a result of this land, or
that's there's a side benefit. There are yearly studies done on 4 towns in the state of Connecticut of comparable size to East Lyme. And each year they show that the cost of to a town for 1 acre of land with a house on it was X number of dollars.
Right.
That turns into our taxes,
right.
The need for taxes. However, when it comes to conserved land, it was like 10 cents on an acre because the conserved land does not require schools, transportation,
hospitals,
minimal police service, minimal fire service.
Right.
So it comes out it's like 10 cents per acre for the cost of land. So that's a benefit to the townspeople with regards to taxes.
That's a good thing to know, and a good thing I think for people to think about when you're trying to preserve different areas and different spaces and keeping our area pristine and beautiful. And I'm thinking about the recreation piece too. You said rock climbing and hiking, things like that.
Hiking has just bloomed in the last 6 months. People are because they're confined. So now we're seeing the trails are being overwhelmed with hikers to a point it's causing problems.
Are people being good hikers? I think that there's always good stewardship for the land. I was always taught to, leave no trace, pick up as you go along, that kind of thing. What's happening?
Well, there's also a increased number of bicycles,
Oh,
bikers, and they have the desire to use the trails for their pleasure. However, when you get a slow walking traffic and a bike coming down the back of you, it becomes a problem.
exactly.
Further, the bicycle, unfortunately, they tear up the trails. In some places, they do a lot of damage. So the stewardship program has to monitor that and compensate for that. And overall, the vast majority of bikers are great.
Right.
It's just occasionally that they don't. A lot of them I've spoken with have acknowledged they know they damaged the area, and they're asking how can they repair it. So they become part of the stewardship program.
Nice, nice. Well, that's good. And the kind of biking I like to do is on the roads. I just bike right on the road. I have skinny tires on my bike. I can't do the off-road stuff.
Yeah,
So, but I think it's the all-terrain vehicles and the dirt bikes and things like that that might be causing more of a damage than actual bicycles, right?
yeah. Fortunately, we have not had a problem with all-terrain vehicles in the area. I say in general in the area. It's just bicycles, the big, large balloon tires, and again, I mentioned damage.
Right, right. Okay, interesting. So in your relationship with zoning, what happens with the land trust? How does that work as far as you kind of protecting the land and zoning and developers who want to come in and build
When
whatever?
we purchase a land, so we own it. In most cases, we own the land 100%.
Okay.
And when we purchase a land, there's what's called a conservation easement. It's a separate document, and that document is a legal document that says the do's and don'ts for this land. An example: you cannot build a building on lands that under conservation easement unless there are shelters or minor structures to aid recreational. Um, you cannot run power lines through, power poles through, and there are several issues that is backed up by state law, and recently was held up in court the strength of the conservation easement. So we have protection from elements, and in most cases we cannot sell the land unless there's a specific clause. If the land is donated for the purpose of selling to make operating funds available for the land trust.
Hmm.
And we occasionally come across that. A lot of the land is donated, in the past has been donated before I became president. When a developer develops a parcel of land, they are required by state, by local regulations to have a amount of that for green space. And the developers found it's to everybody's benefit if they donate that green space to the land trust. That
Mm-hmm.
relieves the developer of continuing paying taxes on that property, because we are a non-taxable entity, and we will take care of that land. So, but it's passive land. It's usually you can't put trails on it, and you can't do anything with it but just look at it. So we've been after areas now that we can put trails on for more recreation and protect the aquifer.
Nice. I like that. And then what about, if we were going to talk about transport or boating or, I'm thinking like rowboats or kayaks or,
Well, in the case of this, where we have land front on Pagansett, there is a trail that exists already, and we're adding an additional trail with two entrances with parking spaces available for vehicles, and it goes right down to the lake. So you have kayaks, you can bring your kayak down, your canoe, and follow the rules of the Pagansett Lake community.
well, that's beautiful. Because I think, to me, you protect the environment. And whenever I'm on my bike, today my husband and I went out and on the way back, there was a can on the road. So I stopped and picked it up and, threw it in the recycle bin rather than just having it add litter to the environment. But I just think if you have people who can be stewards and then careful recreational users, then you're helping people to protect the land because they value it and they want it to look nice and to be nice.
Yeah, we're going to be working, focusing on starting a in-depth stewardship program in the next couple of months. And the basic of a stewardship program would require people to walk the boundaries of each parcel of land at least twice a year to observe if there's any dangers or needs for repair or improvements, and to report back and make a report that we are watching.
Oh, wow. Sign me up for that, Ron, because I'd be happy to be part of that program. That's a great idea. I love that.
And so this is a monitoring, and we would first of all contact the people who live alongside the property, and take the opportunity to remind them that because you have the land preserved right next to you, you're gaining the increased value of your property. So why don't you help and protect that?
Exactly. Right, right. Well, it's clean air, clean water, clean land, and all those things working together. And let's talk about the water. How often does that get tested in these different sites and different spots? And what
Well,
you
we are the beginning of it. And the testing usually occurs downstream. So the town has a program for monitoring the quality of water. And I know even Latimer Brook, I see reports every month of testing the water quality on Latimer Brook to make sure that that doesn't turn.
right.
There's very clean water coming down Latimer Brook.
But we have to be careful because if we're not, I think that people might, I don't know, not be as thoughtful and mindful of preserving one of our natural resources that we have. And it's so critical for our health and well-being.
Well, we're seeing an increase in sensitivity.
Sure.
Recent meeting where, excuse me, the town has a document. This is a draft form about the protecting drinking water in East Lyme, and is required to be published every 10 years. Art Carson, who's on our board of directors, was chairman of this. And it goes into all the details of protecting the water and monitoring and measuring the water quality. So there's an active program. So there was a town meeting for comments on this draft, and I appeared, and basically there's an overwhelming support of conserving land in East
Good.
Lyme.
Good.
By people attending, they want to protect their land. So we said, we're doing that.
Good. Well, that sounds like it's working and it's making sense and people are supporting you and it sounds good. What are some of your struggles? What are some of your battles? It sounds so far everything you've said is
It's
just
economics.
economics. Okay, tell me
Well,
about
people, it's a different world. Example, it takes about 4 years to acquire a piece of land
that.
by the steps you have to take. Starting off with talking to a landowner. First of all, identifying who the landowner is, talking with them, and then getting a agreement with them. And usually the agreement is based on the appraised value of the land. Not what he thinks is worth, but professional appraisal. Now, one of our main sources of income for land is the state of Connecticut through DEEP.
Right.
And last year, we had 2 parcels of land which we applied for. In applying for them, it cost us $10,000 for each application.
Oh, that's expensive.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And that's because we need 2, at that time, we needed 2 independent surveyors to estimate the value of the land. And each one costs $2,500. And those surveys can cost anywhere from $2,000 up to, I think, $8,000
Sure.
per survey. So when you're talking about going to the state, they want this evidence how much this land is really worth. So we make the application. And the state only allows up to 65% of the value of the appraisal. So then we must now go after other means of collecting that money.
Got it.
And that could be either from the federal government. There are different programs, other state agencies, which are programs. They could be from individuals or other grant organizations. There are many foundations there, and we have a list of foundations that we work with. So we will make an appeal to them for funding. You know, one of the active ones that we work with is the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut.
Okay.
And, you know, last year we got $20,000 towards helping us purchase one parcel of land.
Nice.
So it's accumulative. So we have to get all these money. So ends up that the Grassy Hill, the large piece of land that we acquired last year, it was an appraised value of $1.6 million. We were able to get from the state $560,000 towards that purchase, and we had to have matching funds. We were able to get matching funds for this property, and that's closed, and we owned it.
Well, congratulations.
And we did our finishing of a paperwork with the state on this one now.
Nice.
The second parcel of land that we got approval for last year was Upper Bad Cancer Road. And it's a piece of property is interesting because it connects to Dower Pond area.
Okay.
And the Dower Pond area is owned by the town, but it has some conservation easements and some pieces which don't have conservation easements. So Art has been working through us with the town on different concepts for increasing the recreational value of that land. And that's where the Goodwin Trail starts.
Okay.
And the Goodwin Trail goes all the way up through the Nehanic Forest, up through the Yale property, up to Salmon River. And as an overall design, that trail is designed to go up to Putnam, Connecticut, which is a 52-mile trail.
Oh, wow.
So part of it is already in place and is very active. And if you go to the first maybe quarter of a mile down the Goodwin Trail, to the left is they provide a Boy Scout encampment so that the Scouts can go and for a weekend camp there.
Oh, isn't that nice? Yeah.
So there's been a lot of planning going in. So the second piece of land on Upper Bad Kansas, it was appraised at $426,000. We got $179,000 from the state, and we were able to acquire the additional value, additional funds. This year so far, we've now made a submission as of 2 weeks ago to DEP, and they've changed the rules. They now require you to have the donation money first before you go to the state. Before they will give you the money, then you go out and seek your donation. And they found that this stretched out to 4 or 5 years sometimes by times that people could get matching funds. So the new system requires you to have matching funds before you start. And we've been fortunate to have some beneficiaries who are willing to work with us and want to help us. And so we have that money in place already.
Well, isn't that nice?
I mean, it's just part of the technology or the work that has to go into getting a piece of property.
So yeah, well, it sounds like it's really working well, and you're increasing our real estate value. And I know it's an onerous task and takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of collaboration with a number of people. But you haven't really mentioned anything. Is there anything that I should be aware of that's a downside for land trusts or for the work that you're doing? Are there people who don't believe in this? I mean,
I have never found anybody who's been not believing it. And the only other balance to the other side of the scale are people who want to develop land to sell houses. I mean, that's their business, that's their trade. But now we have the argument, are we going to overpopulate East Lyme and then all the costs that go with it?
Right.
So there's a balance in there.
I agree. I totally agree. There's a balance. And I feel like we have to have careful planning, careful development, And I feel like some of what's happened hasn't been as thoughtful or done as well as it could be done. And I hope that doesn't step on anybody's toes. But I think we need to really be thoughtful in how we have our town look and what it looks like. And I think preserving nature and all of our resources really the priority. So that I really applaud you for the work that you're doing and for all of the energy that it takes. That doesn't sound like much of a retirement, Ron.
Well, retirement's a big word. Yeah,
Uh,
I haven't worked. I retired 18 years ago, 19 years ago.
well, you retired very young then, so you had
I was very successful in my businesses.
oh, yeah. Well, congratulations. That's great. And you're still giving back and still doing. Now, what else do you want people to know about land trust and the work that you're doing? How can we support you? I
Well,
know.
we're going to be doing a mailing next month to our current membership, but we wanted to spread the word around, and we probably post it into the magazines, the local newspaper, and also, of course, on our website.
Your website, Ron. Where should everybody look?
East Lyme Land Trust.org.
Okay. .org. Okay.
And the need, what we need is the say pocket money.
Okay. You need people to make some donations. And, I think that's a really nice legacy to leave behind, that this is a parcel of land that you donated to the town, and you could do it in memory of somebody or in memory of
Yes,
yourself.
yeah, we have been working with somebody who's doing that right now, who wants to. It's been an interesting discussion, but basically he wants to leave it to town, but he has some conditions with, and there's negotiating ongoing. But it's a good size tract of land. We have several areas, so for more pieces of property that we are working with people who
Mm-hmm.
want to help preserve their lands. You know, one person loves the birds and wants to make sure the birds habitat is protected.
Oh, that's really nice. I like that.
As a side note, are you aware that the Audubon Society has identified 120 different species of birds in East Lyme?
That's lovely. I better get my bird book out and start writing some of these things down. I thought I saw a Baltimore Oriole the other day, and I've been seeing a few different things. I have a little wren house on my deck, and the wrens built a nest inside of the house that I put out, and that's been
Yep.
really fun to see them. But
I have a albino robin in my backyard.
do you? Wow, what does that look like?
A white robin with black
Oh,
wings.
wow, that's beautiful. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Ron, do you have connections with the Sierra Club?
not really. No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I would think that that might be another group that might coordinate well with you. And
Well, there are a lot of people who are interested in conservation and in forms and different reasons. The farmers, of course,
but yep.
and we have connections with helping them and keeping in tune with them. Some farmers want to make sure their property is protected. Uh, today's controversy is solar panels. Uh,
And how do you feel about solar panels?
I have a very different opinion.
Tell me.
As an engineer and one who's specialized in forecasting, I see major problems coming down the road. A good example of good use is the solar panels which were installed over the high school.
Mm-hmm.
Does not use up space, provides the energy for the school, and it's working very well. A bad example is the disaster we've had here in East Lyme with the solar panel farm, where it was done according to current standards, and with a rainfall, a 2-inch rainfall, it wiped out their earthen dam, which is supposed to stop the water, and it rushed down a mud river down the hill, which crossed some of our property down into the stream and contaminated a trout stream that was feeding the Lamere Brook.
So it's really, because I heard about that too. So it's really about placement. I mean, solar, if it's done right.
Today, but see, we're talking in today's terms.
Okay.
I've attended a lecture. My son was in this business for a while, so I
Okay.
have a lot more inside information. But the materials which are used to make the solar panels are classified as extremely toxic materials.
Hmm.
So at the end of the life of a solar panel, you have a major toxic problem.
Right.
The state of California last year identified a special code number and special processing to handle toxic waste from solar panels. And nobody's even talking about that. What's going to happen? The second problem I have is we received a letter from a solar panel company to lease a parcel of land from the East Lyme Land Trust, and they were offering like $35,000 per year for a 20-year lease.
Mm.
That's easy to jump to, but my experience in business has shown how many companies, small companies, have lasted 20 years.
No, that's true.
And none of the bad things that happen in industry, the big corporation will form little companies, LLC companies,
Sure.
liability. And then when you sign the contract, that name appears on the contract, not the big company. So 3 years, 5 years from now, when they decide it's not producing as much as they wanted to produce, they file bankruptcy.
Mm.
And then you're stuck with the getting rid of the solar panels.
Right, right.
And nobody's
So
talking about that.
I'm kind of jumping ahead, Ron, but I'm just wondering, is there a way, I'm sure there's a way for solar panels to be built with materials that are not so toxic, that could be healthier, that would
Well,
do the, go ahead.
we live in a world of advancing technology. Who would have forecast the amount of solar panels that we have now 10 years ago? So next 10 years, they're about, whoa,
Sorry, you just did a somersault there, Ron. This, I hope you're okay. Thank you.
we just, who knows what the technology is going to be coming in 10 years from now. So
Right.
uh, there's always going to be change. Wind is one. My opinion is that the real answer to answer our energy problem is nuclear energy, but that has a bad name in the United States.
Mm, mm.
France is dominated by nuclear plants. They got 29 nuclear plants, and they're doing well.
So it's good to be mindful of the research and the history behind it and all of the science that goes with it. And I appreciate you sharing that. I feel smarter and more in the loop by you sharing your information. And I totally applaud you for all of your hard work with the land trust and preserving our environment and saving us in so many ways from other atrocities like no water, no drinking water down the road.
Yeah, or contaminated water. Yeah,
Contaminated water, that's no good. What do you do with that? You don't even want that on your plants in the garden.
yeah.
Yeah, so is there anything else that we can do? We'll go to the eastlymelandtrust.org and I think sign up, volunteer, donate, get involved.
That'd be
Anything
great.
else, anything else you'd like to see happen?
Oh, everybody get healthy.
Stay healthy, be healthy,
Yeah.
right? And we have to get over this C19 and
Our life, all our lives are going to be changed.
that's right. That's right. Well, hopefully we'll get to see you somewhere, maybe on the trail sometime soon, and look forward to meeting up with you again.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ron, for your time and for sharing all of your intelligence.
Okay, welcome. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.